Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. In the light of the current outrage surrounding the cover-up of sexual child abuse in an ISKCON-run school by the ISKCON Governing Body Commission, or the GBC, I am making this statement in an attempt to warn and to protect potential future victims of sexual and financial abuse in ISKCON. In particular, I wish to raise awareness about a disciple of Bhakti Charuswami from South Africa, currently living in America, whose name is Guru Gauranga Das, also known as Graham Duncan. I would like you to know that I have brought a lawsuit against Guru Gauranga Das, or Graham Duncan, in the 18th Judicial Court for Seminole County, Florida, alleging that Mr. Duncan stole my father's inheritance, amounting to approximately $850,000 US. The ISKCON Child Protection Office has a file on Guru Gauranga Das, which includes 4 separate claims by 4 alleged individual victims of sexual abuse, including rape, oral sex, and sodomy. The 4th of these cases was, in my opinion, unfortunately never reported by her parents. But I will read to you an excerpt of the victim's statement. But first, I will read to you excerpts of the claims from alleged victim number 2 from Mauritius. I will also read to you the statement by an alleged victim of financial fraud living in the United States. The full documents that I'm going to cite excerpts of are available in their entirety in the links provided in the description of this video, as well as at gurugaurangadas.info and grahamduncan.info. In August 1998, the ISKCON Child Protection Office received a written statement from victim number 2, who alleged that Guru Gauranga Das sexually abused her, starting when she was 12 years old, for 5 continual years. A court case was made in the court of Mauritius, which an online article in l'express.mu website makes reference to. The link is in the description of this video. This alleged abuse included several incidents of intercourse. She wrote, so this is victim number 2, who wrote, quote, "The first time Guru Gauranga tried was when I got him a guava. He asked me to sit down, and when I started to sit on the sofa, he told me to sit on the bed where he was lying. He made me feel his heart beating, and then started caressing me, at the same time pulling me onto the bed. He pinned me with his body and started kissing me and putting his hand under my dress. The next day, he asked me if I had informed anyone about what had happened, and when I answered that I had not, which I was too ashamed to do, he made me promise not to tell anyone." She continues, "His second attempt was in October the same year. Graham pulled a sofa near mine. He watched the movie, Hindi movie, for a few minutes, then started kissing me. He then started pulling my dress up, but then he picked me up and took me into the bedroom. He put me on the bed and tried to introduce it meaning his penis, into me, but I succeeded to escape. He started making me feel that he loves me and that he cared. Then, one day, that same year, he succeeded. He broke my virginity and immediately afterward went out, taking the blanket on which we had been to be thrown away. He told me that I should stop my bleeding by taking a shower. He continued to have a sexual relationship with me afterward until he went to India. He would penetrate me, always giving me pain. When I told him that these things hurt me, he would say that it does not matter and that it will stop one day. When I asked him what will happen to me, he said that I could become his second wife and that not to worry. He made me promise not to say anything, which he knew I would not do such a thing, for I blamed myself for everything that had happened. Victim 2 goes on to describe alleged incidents wherein Guru Gauranga performed oral sex on her and made her perform oral sex on him, as well as incidents of anal penetration from the age of 12 onward. The report continues. A certain Dr. Fernando, who was ascertaining the validity of the victim's claim, stated, quote, I could establish beyond any reasonable doubt that victim number 2's claims of having been subjected to unsolicited sexual advances and abuse by the alleged perpetrator are not fabrications. In my clinical judgment, the following sexual abuse incidents, as far as I could ascertain, have taken place. Notwithstanding, this case was dropped for no apparent reason. The report continues. A third victim claims that in a sugarcane field, also in Mauritius, she pleaded with Graham Duncan to save her virginity for her marriage, and Guru Gauranga Das forced her, as an alternative, to perform oral sex on him and have him ejaculate in the victim's mouth. As I told you at the beginning, there is a fourth alleged victim that the CPO is aware of, but whose parents, and as I said, unfortunately, did not report officially. However, here is her statement, the handwritten copy of which you can find in the description of this video, as well again as on the gurugaurangadas.info and grahamduncan.info websites. She states, I, name withheld, can testify to Graham Duncan's guilt to sexually abusing girls and women. When I lived in country X with my parents in a large house, I was engaged to Duncan at the age of 13. My father had arranged the engagement, and to make my parents happy, I went along with it. I was a very shy girl when it came to men, as I had been brought up in a very strict boarding school in accordance with my religious beliefs, which stated that contact between men and women was only within marriage. For some reason, my father broke off the engagement, which angered Graham, because at about 12:30 a.m., 1 a.m., he knocked on my bedroom window and said he had to talk to me about something. He was very threatening and said if I told anyone about this meeting, he would hurt my family members. Of course, I came out of the house. He took me to his friend's room and started trying to make me sit on his lap. Eventually, after holding me forcibly on his lap, he started telling me that my dad was against him because he didn't know what was best for me and that he wanted still to marry me, and the only way to do that would be to get me pregnant. I started freaking out and crying, but he let me go and I went back to my room and hid under the covers until I had to get up. I did not sleep at all for quite a few weeks. At one point, my family was going to travel from city X to city Y, and Graham had told my dad he had to talk to me alone. So my dad said I should just travel down with Graham in his car. I protested, but I went in the end. On the way, Graham stopped by a hotel in the car park behind the hedge. He told me that we were going to go into a hotel room and I had to get pregnant. I started crying and refused to get out of the car, at which point Graham slapped me. A passerby knocked on the window and asked if I was all right, but Graham told him I was just upset and told him to go away. After that, he started touching me, and then he raped me. I cried the whole time, and it happened 2 more times on the way. So according to her, he raped her 3 times on this car ride. When I got home, my dad asked why we were late, and Graham told him we stopped to eat. I never told my parents because he said he would hurt my family. This is my testimony. Signature. Finally, I wish to read to you the statement by an alleged victim of Graham Duncan's alleged financial criminal actions. Speaking of a protein bar business that he and his associates had been successfully running in Southern California, he writes the following statement, quote, "We hired Guru Gauranga Das to work on our computers, and while he was at it, he downloaded our valuable customer base. He also hired 2 to 3 of our employees to give him the secrets of making our bars, and proceeded to take our 5 biggest sellers and competed against us. I understand that he had a couple of heart attacks. Such is his karma. This demonic rascal has to be put to justice. I would also like to sue him for punitive damages for the eventual collapse of the protein bar business. I am sure that X Prabhu and Y Maharaj will be on board with this. Hare Krishna." To conclude, I wish to again inform you that I have brought a lawsuit against Guru Gauranga Das, or Graham Duncan, in the 18th Judicial Court for Seminole County, Florida, alleging that Mr. Duncan stole my father's inheritance, amounting to approximately $850,000 US. We have a collective responsibility to have a zero tolerance against child abuse, sexual abuse, and crime in general. Otherwise, we are contributing to the risk factor of alleged abusers and criminals exploiting subsequent victims years or, as in my case I claim, even decades later. Thank you. Hare Krishna.